Conor Anthony McGregor was born on July 14, 1988, in Crumlin, Dublin, Ireland, to Tony and Margaret McGregor. Raised in a working-class family, Conor grew up alongside his two sisters, Erin and Iaba. From a young age, he displayed an undeniable passion for sports, particularly football. Playing for the renowned Lloyd Celtic Football Club, Conor was raised in an environment where athleticism and self-defense were essential. However, as much as he tried to conform to societal expectations and dreamed of being a footballer, he knew deep down that something else called to him, a raw, untamed passion for fighting. As a child, Conor didn't just dream of kicking a ball on the field. He also understood the importance of fighting. In his neighborhood, being tough wasn't just a trait, it was a necessity. The two things that mattered most in his world were how good you were at playing football and, more importantly, how skilled you were at fighting. At the age of 12, Conor joined the Crumlin Boxing Club, a decision that would mark the beginning of his journey into combat sports. While other kids were focused on playing sports, Conor's mind was consumed by the idea of learning to defend himself, and over time, that evolved into a hunger to master the art of fighting. Fighting wasn't just about survival for Conor, it was about mastering a skill, finding his identity. When you grow up where I'm from, you get into fights. Being able to defend yourself was always something that occupied my mind, he later revealed. And it wasn't just about boxing. Conor was determined to become a versatile fighter. Boxing laid the foundation, but he knew that mixed martial arts, MMA, would be his true calling. The more he trained, the more he realized he had the potential to do something extraordinary. Something that would push him far beyond the boundaries of his humble beginnings. McGregor's transition into mixed martial arts was marked by his introduction to Coach John Kavanagh at Straight Blast Gym in Dublin. I walked into that gym, and it was like the clouds parted and a thunderbolt came down, Conor would joke. But the reality was that it was just another day. What made Conor stand out wasn't just his boxing skills. It was his unyielding drive to succeed, his ability to push through adversity, and his confidence that he was destined for greatness. Under Kavanagh's guidance, McGregor quickly began developing his ground game and grappling, transforming into a well-rounded fighter with explosive power. Before he ever stepped into the octagon, Conor was working as a plumber's apprentice, a far cry from the fame and fortune that would come later. I had many days on site, he recalled. It was cold, damp, and dark, and I looked around at everyone else and just said to myself, I'm out of here. The life of a plumber left Conor unfulfilled, pushing him to follow his true passion. With determination, he decided to pursue his dream of becoming a world champion in MMA, no matter the cost. I drove out of that building site and told myself, I'm going to make this happen. McGregor's determination didn't stop there. He wasn't going to wait for opportunities to come to him. In 2007, he stepped into the cage for his amateur debut, delivering a stunning first-round TKO victory that would forever change the trajectory of his career. I'm going to do this, Conor declared, setting his sights on professional MMA. But his journey was far from easy. He faced not only physical challenges in the cage, but also financial struggles outside of it. Still, despite receiving €188 a week in welfare, Conor was unwavering in his belief that the UFC was in his future. When Conor turned professional in 2008, he entered the MMA scene with the kind of confidence that would define his career. His boldness, combined with his natural talent and work ethic, made him a force to be reckoned with. If you can see it here, and you have the courage enough to speak it, it will happen, he said, predicting his future success. The UFC was no longer just a dream, it was a goal he was determined to achieve. With his signature style, his hunger for victory, and his ability to back up his trash talk with devastating power, Conor McGregor was beginning to make a name for himself in the world of MMA. The rise of McGregor continued, with his performances in the Cage Warriors promotion making waves in the MMA world. He made history as the first fighter from Ireland to win 2 world titles in different weight divisions. The respect he earned from fans, fighters, and coaches was undeniable. But what really set Conor apart was his ability to mix his explosive fighting style with his larger-than-life personality. As he progressed through the ranks, Conor became known not only for his incredible knockout power, but also for his mind games and bravado. He wasn't just fighting for titles, he was building a brand. As Conor's star continued to rise, so did the expectations placed upon him. His trash-talking persona was as much a part of his fighting style as his precision and power. It wasn't enough to win in the cage. McGregor needed to make a statement. "I'm going to be the best in the world," he said, "and I'm going to do it my way." His unwavering self-belief, mixed with his ability to deliver on his promises, captivated the MMA world. But while his reputation as a brash and confident fighter grew, he never lost sight of his roots, his humble beginnings and the sacrifices that got him to this point. With his undeniable talent and relentless determination, Conor McGregor was on the verge of greatness. His journey was just beginning, and though the road ahead would be filled with challenges, Conor knew one thing for sure. He wasn't just here to compete, he was here to dominate. "We're not here just to take parts. We're here to take over," he proclaimed, setting the stage for his iconic rise through the UFC. From his humble beginnings in Crumlin to becoming the most famous fighter in the world, McGregor's story was one of resilience, passion, and unyielding belief in himself. Conor McGregor's arrival in the UFC was nothing short of electrifying. In 2013, the young Irishman made his debut against Marcus Brimage in a fight that would mark the beginning of his domination. Despite being relatively unknown outside the MMA community, McGregor's reputation as a rising star was already taking shape. His first fight in the octagon was a statement, a powerful first-round TKO that earned him a $60,000 bonus and left the MMA world buzzing. "I didn't have money before this," Conor reflected. "I was collecting €88 a week in welfare, and now here I am with $60,000. His story was beginning to unfold in front of millions. But McGregor wasn't just here to make money, he was here to make history. His undeniable confidence, combined with his flair for the dramatic, made him a natural fit for the UFC. Conor didn't just fight, he performed. His fights were as much about entertainment as they were about skill. Every movement, every punch, every trash talk was calculated to capture the attention of fans worldwide. His ability to back up his words with explosive performances inside the cage was unmatched. His relentless drive to become the best was now being recognized on the biggest stage in MMA. As his career progressed, McGregor's fame only grew. He was no longer just a fighter, he was a brand, a global sensation. "I would describe the UFC featherweight division as mine," Conor declared with his usual swagger. "It will be just me." The brash confidence that had defined him in the smaller promotions was now front and center in the UFC. His fights became must-see events, with fans tuning in not only to watch him fight, but also to witness his unique blend of skill, charisma, and psychological warfare. McGregor's rise was not just about victories, it was about building an empire. But the road to the top wasn't without its bumps. After his impressive start in the UFC, McGregor faced bigger challenges, including tougher opponents and fierce competition. However, his ability to rise to the occasion was what set him apart. "If you want something badly enough, you can have it," McGregor said. "You can be anything you want to be if you hold that desire with singleness of purpose." McGregor's mindset was focused on nothing short of greatness. His vision was clear: to become the first fighter in UFC history to hold two belts simultaneously. And to do that, he had to prove himself against the best of the best. In 2015, McGregor's dream of becoming a two-division champion started to take shape when he faced José Aldo, the UFC featherweight champion, in a highly anticipated title fight. Aldo had been undefeated for over 10 years, and his reputation as one of the greatest fighters of all time preceded him. But McGregor wasn't intimidated. Instead, he turned up the mental warfare, getting into Aldo's head long before they even stepped into the cage. His mind games, combined with his superior skills, made him a formidable force in the octagon. "I plan to set him up, trap him, lead him into dead space," McGregor said. And that's exactly what he did. The fight against Aldo was the pinnacle of McGregor's career to that point. When the two finally met in December 2015, it didn't take long for McGregor to make his statement. In just 13 seconds, McGregor delivered a perfectly timed left hook that sent Aldo crashing to the canvas, making him the first fighter to hold two UFC belts simultaneously. It was a stunning victory that solidified McGregor's place in UFC history. "It doesn't matter what weight division it is or what belt is on the line," McGregor declared. "I should create my own belt. This is my time." With two titles in hand, McGregor's place at the top of the UFC was unquestionable. However, the spotlight came with added pressure. "I own this town," McGregor said, standing tall as the UFC's undisputed champion. But with fame came distractions. McGregor's rapid rise to the top wasn't just about hard work. It was about embracing the chaos and using it to fuel his next move. He reveled in the media attention, the flashy lifestyle, and the luxury that came with his newfound fame. Yet underneath the glamour, McGregor's mind was always focused on one thing: continuing to prove he was the best. But with great power comes great responsibility. After a dominating win over Aldo, McGregor's next challenge was even bigger, becoming the first UFC fighter to hold two championship belts simultaneously. The path to greatness was becoming clearer, but McGregor knew that every victory had its cost. The constant pressure, the expectations, and the media scrutiny all weighed heavily on him. But for Conor, it was all part of the game. He thrived under pressure, using every obstacle as motivation to keep moving forward. As McGregor's career continued to soar, he began to face new challenges, not just in the cage but in his personal life as well. As his fame grew, so did the number of people who wanted to see him fail. But McGregor's mindset was unshakable. He was relentless in his pursuit of success, determined to prove that he was not just another fighter, but the greatest to ever step foot in the octagon. "You can have anything you want if you want it badly enough," he would say. And for McGregor, the desire to be the best was what drove him. Despite facing new challenges and opponents, McGregor's resilience shone through. Every fight, every moment of doubt only fueled his fire. He became a symbol of what it meant to fight for your dreams, to never back down, and to constantly push beyond your limits. McGregor's rise wasn't just about winning fights. It was about proving to the world that greatness is earned through sacrifice, hard work, and unyielding self-belief. The world had taken notice, and Conor McGregor was ready to show everyone that this was just the beginning. After his historic victory over José Aldo, Conor McGregor became the face of the UFC. His success was unparalleled, but as the stakes got higher, so did the pressure. In 2016, McGregor's goal of becoming the first fighter in UFC history to hold two belts simultaneously was within reach. The UFC lightweight title was next. McGregor was unstoppable. He wasn't just fighting for championships, he was fighting for legacy, for the chance to solidify his place as one of the greatest combat athletes of all time. "This is my era," he proclaimed. But even for a fighter as relentless as Conor McGregor, the road ahead would have its hurdles. The UFC was buzzing with anticipation as McGregor was set to face Eddie Alvarez for the lightweight title. With two divisions in his sights, the world watched as McGregor prepared for another fight that would go down in history. The fight itself was a masterclass. McGregor's speed, precision, and mental fortitude were on full display as he overwhelmed Alvarez with sharp strikes and brutal accuracy. McGregor didn't just win the fight, he redefined the standard for what it meant to be a champion. "I came here to take over, not just to take part," he said. And that night, he did exactly that, making history by becoming the first fighter in UFC history to hold two titles at the same time. McGregor had achieved what many thought impossible, but with his newfound fame and wealth, distractions crept in. The allure of celebrity, media, and fame threatened to pull him away from the sport that had made him a legend. Yet Conor McGregor remained focused, always using his success as fuel for his next challenge. "I'm the best in the world and I'm going to prove it again," he declared. But as history would show, the higher you rise, the harder the fall. In 2017, McGregor stepped into a new arena, not the UFC octagon, but the boxing ring, a move that would prove to be both a monumental risk and a massive payday. In 2017, Conor McGregor faced one of the greatest boxers of all time, Floyd Mayweather Jr. The fight was billed as the money fight, and it would become the biggest pay-per-view event in combat sports history. McGregor, stepping into the ring for the first time as a boxer, held his own against Mayweather for several rounds, but eventually succumbed to the masterful skills of the undefeated champion. Though McGregor lost the fight by TKO in the 10th round, the experience was transformative. "I didn't win, but I gained a lot," McGregor reflected. The fight earned him an estimated $100 million, cementing his status as one of the wealthiest athletes in the world. While McGregor's boxing debut was a spectacle, it also marked a shift in his career. The time away from MMA allowed new challengers to rise. Fighters like Khabib Nurmagomedov and Tony Ferguson were making waves in the lightweight division. But McGregor, never one to back down from a challenge, was eager to prove that he was still the king of the octagon. In 2018, after a period of inactivity, McGregor made his return to the UFC, facing Khabib in a bout that would captivate the world. The lead-up to McGregor versus Khabib was filled with tension, drama, and personal animosity. McGregor, known for his trash talk and mind games, had taken their rivalry to a personal level. The fight was more than just about the UFC lightweight title. It was about proving who the real king was. As the fight progressed, McGregor found himself outclassed by Khabib's relentless pressure and grappling. The result was a submission loss for McGregor, but the aftermath was even more shocking. Following the fight, Khabib leaped over the cage and charged toward McGregor's corner, sparking chaos and an unforgettable scene. McGregor had been defeated, but his spirit was far from broken. McGregor's loss to Khabib marked a turning point in his career. It wasn't just a physical defeat, it was a challenge to his invincible aura. For the first time, McGregor had tasted defeat in the UFC, and the world was quick to question his place among the all-time greats. Yet McGregor remained defiant. "I make no excuses," he said. "It is what it is. I'll be back." His resilience was on full display as he began plotting his return to the cage. Despite the loss, McGregor was still one of the biggest stars in combat sports, and the UFC knew that his comeback would be just as monumental as his rise. In 2020, McGregor made his long-awaited return to the octagon, facing Donald "Cowboy" Cerrone in a fight that would mark a new chapter in his career. McGregor dominated from the start, securing a quick TKO victory in just 40 seconds. The fight was a reminder of McGregor's unparalleled talent, but also of his ability to rise to the occasion when the world was watching. "I'm back," McGregor said after the win, signaling that he wasn't done yet. But with McGregor's past struggles and the distractions that came with fame, his journey was far from predictable. Despite his return to form, McGregor's career continued to be marked by both triumphs and setbacks. In his next fight against Dustin Poirier, McGregor faced one of his toughest challenges yet. The fight was competitive, but McGregor would end up suffering a devastating leg injury, which led to his second loss to Poirier. This injury left McGregor with questions about his future in the sport. But McGregor, ever the fighter, was determined not to let his setbacks define him. "I'll be back, and I'll be better than ever," he said, hinting at his eventual comeback, once again with the same fiery determination that had propelled him to greatness in the first place. As McGregor's career progresses, one thing remains certain: his legacy as one of the greatest fighters in UFC history is solidified. His journey from a humble background in Dublin to becoming a two-division UFC champion, crossing into boxing, and overcoming every challenge in his way has been nothing short of legendary. Conor McGregor's name will forever be synonymous with success, confidence, and resilience. He showed the world that with unwavering belief in oneself, even the most impossible dreams can come true. As McGregor himself said, "You can have anything you want if you want it badly enough." And his life is proof of just that.